It says here, do not touch, but here there are a bunch of laptops out exposed on the street. I hope it doesn't suddenly rain, because some parts are really exposed. But I see laptops for $100, stores with things exposed out on the street, and we have little scales for $7. All right? For the kitchen, to start, small things, or... I knew you were thinking that. Entertainment hobby shop. There, it's probably also a secondhand store for hobby stuff. I love the stores that are like that, completely exposed. That's something so nice about Japan, that things can be out like that on the street. That makes you realize that people are civilized, that people don't steal. Look, how nice! A pillow shaped like a yakisoba sandwich. Understand that in Japan, there are noodle sandwiches. It's crazy, it's a hot dog. It's so you can read books lying down and not have to move your neck. My head is straight and upright, and now I'm looking at my phone normally.
And can you see us?
No, I can't see. I can see you there. I'm seeing you there. Can you see my eyes?
Yes, a little bit weird.
Well, it costs $7. Well, there are headphones, Bluetooth, binoculars, a lot of gadgets, more stores with things. On top of that, look, notice the distance there is between this shelf with things on display and the entrance to the store. It's quite far apart. I mean, it's not hard at all to steal something from here. Well, you also have to really want to steal this stuff, right? And not want to pay $2 for this little bag of something? I don't even know what it's a bag of. Well, printer cables, in case you wanted them, $2. Now I understand why they leave them outside, loose laptop stuff out on the street. It says it's not checked, that it's sold as junk. So this is theoretically trash. That doesn't work. And even so, it costs 4,000 yen, about $25. So, well, it works as a decoration for you. Component? Of course. Or if you're a fan of fixing computers, look at this one. You can tell it's old. 3,000 yen, that's about $20. Fujitsu. And besides, they sell it to you just like that. No charger, no cables. The king. The unmatched thing about secondhand goods in Japan is hard off, hobby off, book off. Well, actually, the chain started with the name Book Off because they sold used books. But they sell everything. Here, this is a hard off, hobby off. And well, there are a ton of things. Let's see, come on, what?
The special edition Pikachu consoles.
Look, well, for collectors, Game Boy Color, Pikachu Edition A. 88,000 yen. It's...
a super cheap purchase, damn.
Well, these are $500. How much does it cost?
Normally in Europe, it costs you $2,000, $2,500.
Damn, well, wow, that's crazy, man. Good thing I'm not addicted to that. The Game Boy, the SP but black.
It's really cheap here.
I bought it many years ago. The DS, look, this one. Nintendo 64 Pikachu. 50,000 yen is like $350 PlayStation. Look. The Famicom, the Super Famicom. This is the one I had when I was a kid. My brother sent me this when I was a kid, when he had just arrived in Japan. After a year, he went back to Argentina and brought me this. Such beautiful memories. 11,000 yen, huh? Whoa, that's $80. And this one is the same price, even though it's all yellowed. Well, those are old iPhones. Well, there's the iPhone 13 Pro, 132,000 yen, which would be about $800 more or less. Yeah, about $800 for an iPhone 13 Pro. But I don't know if it's unlocked. It might not be SIM-free. Be careful. You have to check that. You should ask about it at the counter. And well, laptops, these should work fine. 660, right? Well, sorry, $400. 154,000 yen, well, a little over $1,000. There are a lot of laptops here. Look, look, look how nice laptops from $100. Tiny, that's great. These must work well, right? Here, everything is checked. Let's go to the side where things aren't checked, which is on the floor below. Look, cameras. More compact cameras. This is the floor of unchecked products that are being sold, like junk. It's written in Japanese, but it says everything there, it says junk. Junk means it's trash. In other words, it doesn't work. Well, some things are checked, others aren't. But normally when they say junk, it means they're not checked. And therefore, there's no guarantee that it works. And that's the appeal of the business, because when they say it's not checked, you can try, buy it, and see if it works. And maybe you'll get lucky. But if it doesn't work, there's no guarantee. I mean, there's no way to return it. All right, that's good. If you follow Japan Game, you'll already know everything about the world of junk and video games. But the truth is, there are products that have already been checked. Well, some of them tell you exactly what problem they have. But, well, they're written in Japanese. $3,300 yen, that's about a little more than $20. This is just to buy it, to decorate. I mean, just to have something vintage there. 2,200 yen, about $15. What is this? Look. It's an, I don't know. Ah, sound editor. It says sound editor. Wow. Look. Look, look. Famicom, 3,300 yen. This must have already been checked that it doesn't work, because if it worked, we already know it's $80, and these are a little over $20, and these are $20, so obviously this has been checked, that it doesn't work. Now there are places where they sell Super Famicom junk for $5, and I've seen it. Look, this one, here it says, well, also, 7,700 yen is about $50, more or less. Here it says that you can play, that only the device itself is being sold. I mean, it doesn't have the power adapters or the ones for the television, but, I mean, you can get those. But, well, this one works. This one says it doesn't work. This one doesn't say anything, but it's cheaper. Here, for example, you have all kinds of figures. Anime accessories. Here, you have one-piece figures. Well, let's see. We're in Akihabara. It's the anime district. Here, everything is about collecting. You find everything, also Raiden? This, for example, is super interesting, because these are figures that have never been opened. It's even better here. It says Mikai Fu in Japanese, which means it was never opened and is sold as used, but it's a new product that was never opened. And that's cool because, well, I mean, I don't know where they get them from, but sometimes it can happen that they take them from claw machines and resell them. Look. These are from Ichiban Kuji, of course, the ones that are from a lottery, as you'll see. It could also be about stock. I know how they end up in stores, but anyway, they're sold as used even though they're new. Damn. $2,500. A Pokemon card? Yes, this one.
With the Charizard one, it's worth about 4,000.
Good thing I'm not into that crappy habit. Very good teams. Guitars. Look, what a beautiful guitar. Very metal. I don't know anything about this. I have a guitar. I took 2 courses and 2 classes and never played again. You have to be a huge hard-off fan to buy the hard-off guitar case, my god. This store too, everything is secondhand. A lot of stuff for the house, hobbies, figures, all that. But at the entrance, there are plates that I don't want to touch because they're all super dirty. Even if you buy something, you have to take a shower after shopping. But we have a hairdryer. It's $5. I don't know what this is. It looks like some kind of vacuum cleaner. I don't know. It's weird. Japanese technology, very strange. A lot of junk. Here, nothing has a warranty except for the Nintendo. 64 at 4,500 yen is very expensive to make junk. But here, for example, I've seen the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom for 800 yen. That's about $5. I remember there was a tourist I saw who took about 6 of them. And he said, one of them has to work. At least one has to work, right? Instead of paying $100 for one, which is the one that comes with a guarantee that it works. The first one, Game Boy for 6,000 yen. Super yellow. It's not that it isn't. Here everything is junk. Everything is junk, and therefore, nothing comes with a guarantee of working. I had the iPod. Well, this was the iPod Touch. I had the regular, ordinary iPod. But I had 3 iPods. Because I used them a lot, and then the battery stopped working, so I bought another one, and then I bought another one. I had 3 iPods in total. I was a big fan of the iPod, honestly, as a music player. An iPod without a screen, 2,500 yen, and it doesn't even have a screen. I mean, how can they charge for this? I don't know, I think you should go to the cashier and say, are you seriously going to charge me for this? $15 for this? I mean, it should cost $2 for this. I mean, it should be $2. Well, music players, appliances, look, this whole pile of devices, of old devices, it's crazy. Anime keyboards, everything. Customized? Customized? Well, I don't know if it's customized. I don't think it comes like that from the factory, I'd say. Yeah, you can tell it's painted. Watch CD7. Cheap. At half the price of new, and the upper floors are just for hobbies, figures, and all those things. Here is Hard Off, also full of audio, instruments, computers, cameras, and this is Mandareka. It's a secondhand store for all kinds of collectible products. Let's just take a quick look at the floor with figures, toys, and so on. Here it's already, let's say, kind of like a hardcore collector's store. I mean, things you can find for $500, $1,000. Well, let's see, vintage toys. This is worth more than $100. It's a good robot, a mecha robot that I don't know. Wow, look at this giant transformer. 36,000 yen, $200, and of course, Optimus Prime. Look, how nice. $100 for this Optimus Prime. No, that's not Optimus Prime. It's another one. The head is different. No, it doesn't matter. It's Optimus Prime anyway. Look, the Constructicons. 440,000 shins. That's like $3,000. The Constructicons. You put them together and they become one giant one. Obviously, if you want naughtier figures, oh look, everything's censored, covered with little papers. But these are naughtier figures. Tin Star Wars toys, $200. These are more vintage. With $400, these toys, look, these are super old. $50. Another thing is that here in Akihabara, for example, it's a neighborhood that's really made for otaku, for collectors and that kind of thing. Otaku don't come to Akihabara to eat gourmet things, so it's a neighborhood where there's a lot of cheap junk food. A lot of ramen places. There's really good ramen in Akihabara because otaku spend little on ramen, which is cheap, filling, and super tasty. I mean, there are plenty of places to eat in Akihabara. Because if not, then there's the other extreme, right? Those who spend a lot at the maid cafes. But anyway, I've already talked about that and mentioned everything about the maids. In this big mall, which is also all about hobbies, there are a little thing I want to show you, which is very curious. Here, for example, you can notice that this box, this display case, is empty. This one has only 2 figures, and these are super full. This is because here what you do is rent this space, and you pay the store to give you the spot. And they also take a sales commission. Therefore, these are hobby stores where you can find everything and at all kinds of prices. You can find a figure here for 2,500 yen, and right next to it, in the box beside, it's half the price. What can happen? Because, of course, each one is, let's say, a different store, a different owner, and that's something very interesting. Look, there's everything. There are Sailor Moon figures. That's what's impressive. But what's going on? When you sell your stuff to secondhand stores, what they pay you is a pittance. It's nothing. It's crap. Especially stores like Book Off. The thing is, the concept of Book Off is to get rid of your stuff, not to make money from those things. I'm going to give a very good example. If you want to throw away a television, you have to pay the city to take your old television away as trash. Does it work or not? But Bukov has a service where they come pick up your things for free, they take them, quote them, and then they tell you if they'll pay you or not. And it's really great because in my last move out, my wife and I had things we wanted to throw away, but Bookoff took them for free, and therefore we didn't have to pay the city to take that trash away. So that's quite a deal, right? And on the other side, another good thing about this second-hand market. I mean, it's not great that they pay you so little for your stuff, but on the other hand, it's good because that doesn't encourage stealing, like the product theft, right? That's why here, for example, nobody steals cell phones because they're not going to pay you much. And on top of that, at a Book-Off, you might buy something that costs $100, but Book-Off paid $5. $5, not 10 nor 20 or half price. No, they paid $5. This is a really nice store to look at, just to look. Now, crossing these tracks, remember this image, the one under the tracks. Let's see, this one. Keep this little image in your mind. Because now we're going to be going under the tracks of Akihabara Station. This place is basically the essence of what this Akihabara neighborhood is, because it's where they sell electronic components. Well, there are also anime things. We have things like these because you know what happens? Akihabara is the neighborhood of anime and video games. But it started out as a neighborhood for selling electronic components and radios. Because when World War I ended, that the whole city was devastated. The army started mobilizing all the merchants to be able to repave the city, to be able to rebuild the city. And the radio and electronics sellers were sent to the Akihabara tracks. So therefore, Akihabara became a station where there are tracks, radio sellers, and electronics sellers. And when the first television came out, obviously the radio sellers were the first to sell televisions. It's well said that 80% of the televisions in Tokyo were sold in Akihabara. Then, of course, when computers and video games came out, obviously, where were they going to be sold? In Akihabara. And something that goes really well hand in hand with video games was anime. And so gradually, little by little, in an organic and natural way, Akihabara became the neighborhood of anime and video games. The first Walkman in history from 1979. And there are tube radios, all vintage technology. These devices kind of symbolize the true origin of Akihabara. The image I told you to keep in your mind. Well, it's the avenue we just crossed, but in 1951. It's the same place where we just entered here. We came in through there, Radio Center, and this store here is still open. And here, it used to be a market for vegetables, food, and all that, and this market was here until the 90s. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Speaking of junk food in Akihabara, this is the best kebab. This is the tastiest kebab in Akihabara. Hey, why don't you eat something more Japanese? Because we live in Japan, sometimes we want to eat a kebab, right? Cheers. The best kebab in Akihabara. And this is a very, very popular secondhand camera shop. Look at how people gather together to check out cameras, digital cameras, film cameras. And look, they even have very old cameras too.
Wow, sometimes they have stabilizers that are brand new.
24,000 yen, so they're not quite cheap. But it's really funny how they have them there. And why would people nowadays want to see so many digital cameras? Or are they just checking out? Because I see cameras for $19,000. I mean, $150, and they're compact. And finally, we're going to the most famous retro video game store in all of Japan, Super Potato. Here the prices are very abusive because it's really made for tourists, plus the store became super popular. $100 for the Famicom, $80 for the Super Famicom, but, well, here at least it's checked to see if it works, right? Let's see. Game Boy Color at $200, the Game Boy games. There are games that I have, and I've seen them here for $30 or $40.
40,000 yens.
One Game Boy, the classic one with the box, 50,000 yens, that's about $350. And in the display case, the prices are scary. Let's see. Games at $100, Sega Saturn, $150 for Sega. Okay, this Famicom game from the Nintendo Entertainment System. Sorry. $1,200. Kind of. The first Mega Man at $500. In better condition, it's $800 and so on. This is a very nice store to look at, just to look at. And there are a lot more stores like this around the area. Mainly very hobby-based and then some electronic stuff, but, well, is the nicest neighborhood for checking out these kinds of products. See you next time. Greetings to you, your family, your pet, and your jerk neighbor. Bye, bye. I'm so hungry.